once again, I am going to be talking about two different songs in this video. And like with the previous one where I talked about two songs, it's not because these two songs are connected, but it's because this first song isn't very long and also doesn't contribute a whole lot.
I've been having a bad day.
Like The Mustard, the parking ticket basically just shows that Sunnydale was very much still in the grip of whatever this curse is. And it also shows that not every single musical number is bombastic and over the top. This song is literally just a woman trying to talk her way out of a parking ticket. And this would normally be just a background event, but Xander, Anya, and Giles just so happen to walk behind this woman instead of in front of her because, you know, she's in the road, so they wouldn't walk in front of her because then they'd be walking in the road. So this, combined with a couple of other, dance sequences that are going on behind our main characters, just kind of show that, yeah, this thing is very much still happening.
Hey, I'm not wearing underwear.
I died so many years ago.
Now this next song actually contributes a couple of things. First, from a storytelling standpoint, we see that when you start singing, you can't stop. When Buffy first shows up at Spike's place to get information, Spike reveals that he hasn't sung at all yet. He appears to be immune. When he starts singing, he very clearly doesn't want to keep singing. You obviously can't hear him when you're just listening to the album, but when you're watching the episode, he rolls his eyes and closes the door and is very clearly not happy about the fact that he's singing. But once you start singing, you can't stop, so Spike has to get through the entire song. And this is important because it does reveal that once you start doing something, you can't stop until the song is over. Which is important not just because there are going to very soon be people who are literally spontaneously combusting because they're dancing too much, but also because it means that when you start to reveal a secret, you can't just stop even if you want to. And when we do get that somewhat with I'll Never Tell, this song is just a very clear indication that even if you don't want to sing, you have to once you start. And the second thing that we get is a bit more diving into Spike's character. In the very first episode of Season 6, when Buffy comes back, she tells her friends, as we mentioned earlier, that she was in a hell dimension, and so being brought back was good for her. And we, the audience, at first also believe this, to a certain extent. But then she talks to Spike and reveals that she was actually in what she thought of as heaven. She was at peace, and then she was brought back, quite literally against her will, back to this world. So Spike knows this big secret that he can't tell anybody. And we also know that Spike really likes Buffy. This has been a well-established fact pretty much from the moment that he returned. And we also know that Buffy doesn't really fully return those feelings. So it's very clear that Spike doesn't enjoy the fact that Buffy only comes to him with either this real big secret that he can't tell anybody or just to get information from him. And this song not only solidifies that, but allows us to see a bit more just how he's feeling. And it honestly almost sounds like Spike is feeling a bit like he's being taken advantage of. He very clearly has very strong feelings for Buffy, and Buffy clearly only sees him as a person for information, or, as Spike himself puts it, just a dead man. She reveals this really big secret to him because, in his words, a whisper in a dead man's ear doesn't make it real. And Spike is basically saying that he loves her so much that not getting anything in return is hurting him greatly. The name of the song and the subsequent chorus is basically about how he wants Buffy to leave him alone so he can finally be in peace. Because every time she comes back, he feels that tug at his heartstring, and it constantly keeps getting broken. And he also reveals in the song that he knows full well that he should just leave, but he just can't. He keeps expecting more out of her that he very clearly knows he's not going to get. And by the very end of the song, even though he constantly talks about how he needs to stay away from her, or she needs to stay away from him, he still can't. Again, you can't hear this from the album, but the very last thing that he says once the song is over is, "So you're not staying then." Once again starting that cycle of Spike not being able to let Buffy go. So that is it for this week's song. Tune in next week for next week's song. See you then.
Why won't you let me rest in peace?